out there. It is a Tuesday. It is January 9th, 2024. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. My man, Tone DeShields. I am Rob Ellis, hanging out with you. Tone, I'm sure it's vastly different where you're at, but we're under a flood watch here in Philly, man. We are about, it's already started. It's coming, man. It's coming real hard. We're supposed to be in maybe some trouble here in this area. So be careful, folks.
Well, here's the thing. Thank God Pro Action has fortified your castle. That's the thing. Shout out to Pro Action for fortifying the castle before the flood, right? Now, we actually just had rain here yesterday. A lot of it, actually. Like a lot.
Which is rare, right?
Sideways. No.
Oh, you had like Forrest Gump rain, like sideways and upside down and all that stuff.
It's funny. When I first moved to Texas, the area that I'm in, but Texas as a whole, I guess, was going through a drought, right? I moved down here late July, something like that. So they were going through a drought. And when I tell you the grass was dry, bone dry, you can't even step on it barefoot, Rob. You know, sometimes you want to step on the grass and get it between your toes. You know what I mean? Couldn't do that in July. Yeah. But now we get a lot of rain. And it's rained at least once a week for the past several weeks, at least once, man. Damn. But flood watch in the Philly area right now. Yeah.
A little scary, right?
Wow.
You all right?
No, I'm good. You got me?
Oh, yeah. I thought we lost you for a second. No, it's okay. Yeah, it's been weird. We were also supposed to get a little some snow over the weekend, and it snowed a little bit, then it went right to the rain and stuff. So yeah, it's good for everybody who's out and about. I was at probably 2 hours ago on the roads. It had just kind of started coming down pretty steady. So be careful out there for everybody. Anyway, all right, I want to start with this because I got the thermometer out. I'm going to do a little, we're going to take some temperatures here because I don't think anybody is 98.6 degrees right now. I think people are still extremely hot over what's gone down with the way the Eagles have closed out their season. So that's where I want to begin with you, Tone, and kind of look at this thing. First off, I want to see where you're at. Tuesday is usually a day where Monday emotions are still running pretty high. By Tuesday, you start to come down a touch and level out a little bit. Have you leveled out, or are you just as fired up as you were?
That's funny. I haven't been fired up in a few weeks, Rob. That's the thing. I mean,
yeah, you're kind of beaten down, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I have been feeling beaten down about this team, but I've also kind of gotten to a point of acceptance. And there are like stages of grief. You know what I mean? I'm in the accepting stage, if that's a stage. So, when I think about this team, I think about a team that had the highest aspirations, one of the highest ceilings in the NFL. We talked about it, we've seen it. The talent is undeniable. Say what you want, but on that defensive side, you got some names that should be playing better than what they're currently playing at. But clearly they have their deficiencies. Nonetheless, we had high expectations for this team. We come into this year, things were rocky, but they were winning still. So we were accepting of that or graceful to that. And things kind of came off the rails. And then you say, okay, one bad loss. The Niners, okay, you got cooked. You can redeem yourself in Dallas.
Right.
Try to get some confidence, even if you lose, if it's close.
Yeah, just be competitive in in the game. Be taken down the wire.
Yep. Because teams lose.
Yep.
Teams lose all the time. The Niners had a 3-game losing streak. There was a point in time where the Bills were not playing up to par. Teams lose. It's okay to lose games. Like, this is the NFL. Everyone's. This is the highest level of this craft.
Sure.
Nonetheless, the Eagles kind of turned one loss into two turned into 4. 4 became 6. They're 11-6 on the season. The way they're limping into the playoffs. I'm struggling to remain optimistic about this team, at least during this season.
I am too. Like I had this talk a little bit earlier today with Seth Joyner, and we were just kind of like, hey, do you believe the Eagles are 3-point favorites in this game? And I understand, the people who make the lines for the games know what the heck they're doing, or else there wouldn't be sports books. There wouldn't be more casinos going up, et cetera, et cetera. Our friends at Ocean, I get it. But to me, in good conscience, and as I sit here on Tuesday, and look, the needle could move a little bit by the time, Monday night rolls around, right? But I just don't. I have a hard time on offense, on defense, and from a coaching perspective, backing this Eagles team and thinking, I see people, and I think they're doing it half in jest in the chat, saying, "Are they playing possum a little bit?" And I had somebody, suggest that to me last night on WIP. It's like, if they're playing number one, if they're playing possum, meaning if this is all just, hey, we're gonna kind of mess around here a little bit, and then all of a sudden, boom, hit you with some kind of surprise on Monday night, it's a disgrace, because you put yourself in a spot where you're the 5th seed, right? As opposed to 1 or 2. Number 2, it's not ballsy, it's dumb. I think it's preposterous that people think that they're doing this. But anyway, there's so many levels in which it's wrong, so many levels in which this isn't just that. This is, across the board. Coaching, players, front office. That's how you get here. Everybody across the board has failed in a massive. I'm going to give you some defensive numbers, Tone, in the 3rd segment of the show. By the way, we have Ray Didinger. We have a Hall of Fame. This called for a Hall of Famer. I had to put the Hall of Fame. I had to get the Hall of Fame call out. I put that out there and the bat signal. And then Ray Diddy came flying in. So he's going to join us at 11:30. And then 12:30, I want to get into this too, because there's a really weird Flyers situation going on. Very, very bizarre, in which they had to trade their first pick, who actually looks like a beast, because this guy refuses to play for them. So we're going to talk to Al Morganti about that at 12:30. But in light of the, sort of temperature taking that we're doing here, that's kind of where I want to look at this for you, where you're at. I forget the possum thing, because I think we both think that's absurd.
Right.
Where does this most fall for you? I know, boy, man, it feels like everybody wants Sirianni gone. There's a lot of blame to go around for the players. I think Howie and Jeffrey should wear some of this. But where are you just generally when you look at this and say, man, if I had to put my stamp on one thing that is the reason for this team being in the mess that they're in, is there one thing? Can you simplify it that much?
There's so much blame to go around. It's
fair to say, look, I can't just lay it. Where are you?
As much as I would love to say Nick Sirianni is the issue, he's not. He's not the root of the issue. Let's put it that way. He's not the root of it all. He's a symptom of the real issue, and that is, the front office and upper management. They have their own belief system in how this team should be ran, how they should build it, how they should form their coaching staff, so on and so forth. And the fact of the matter is, they like to have people in the building who are like-minded. Let's put it that way. Who are like-minded and who are a bit more agreeable. And when you're not that guy, or even halfway not that guy, you tend not to last long. So Nick Sirianni here, he's in a situation where he's facing his real test of adversity. The first one, 2-5, was that real adversity? Yeah, but rookie head coach, you kind of expect those things. But this is his first time, really going through some things with this team. So, a guy like Nick Sirianni, when he came in, the press conference wasn't that great. But I still was optimistic. Jalen Hurts showed some, growth throughout that whole process.
Right.
Now his staff, Shane Steichen, he was a part of that growth. He's gone now. Who is Nick Sirianni now? What is he, what's his specialty now? Okay, that's being an emotional regulator. He understands the players and so on and so forth. Okay, now that's not working for you anymore. What value do you bring? And you're talking about that you've been doing the same thing every year, year after year after year. Things have to change. Things have to evolve. I put that on him, not evolving his offense. Jalen Hurts has not played up to par this season. Yeah. Yes, he has career highs in certain areas, but he also has a career high in turnovers. He can't win games turning the ball over. It's just that simple. I don't care what play you're calling or not calling. Turning the ball over, can't win a game. Howie Roseman, this defense, shortchange the linebacker position as always.
Yep.
And we're betting on a lot of old guys on the back end. So there we are. Also some injuries, but overall, it's just you can really go about this from so many different angles, Rob. Just take your pick, really.
All right, so here's where I'm at, Tone. I'm going to say coaching, and that umbrella falls on Sirianni, the coordinators, and every single guy who coaches this team. And I'm going to exclude one. My guy, Michael Clay. My guy. That's my guy.
That's a guy now. Now he's a guy.
He's my guy. Yes, he is. Forget everything I said last year. All right, so I'm going to exclude. I am serious, though. The special teams do not belong in the same, pile that I'm putting everybody else in here.
Right.
When you see the quarterback who was the runner-up MVP regress, have the inability to handle a blitz, the turnover rate, the struggles in general that they've had to be a consistent offense, even though the numbers are still pretty solid. The schematics, which appear to be the same thing you did last year, and it was kind of like, well, it worked last year. I got to tell you, nothing drives me crazier than hearing that kind of talk. And the Eagles have rolled that out there a lot. And then on top of it, I think the play calling is so random. No rhyme or reason to anything. No setting up the defense. So I think the offense has been even though the numbers are okay, I think it's been way below what it should have been, number one. And that falls on Sirianni and Johnson and every offensive coach. Then you go to the other side of the ball. Epic failure, Tone. They are 30th in points per game allowed, 31st against the pass, 10th against the rush, only because they started off well against the rush. Let me follow up on that. 66 yards per game allowed through the first 10 games, which is the best in football. 145 since then, which is 31st. In every direction, they're trending wrong. They don't stop the run. They don't stop the pass. They give up a lot of points. Every player on the defensive side of the ball has either gotten worse than they were last year or not developed this year. Every single player. Okay. This team at every turn, in every way that you look at it, yes, they have 11 wins, but they have been poorly coached from Jump Street. I think this has been a horrendous coaching job. Nick Sirianni wears it. The coordinators that Jeffrey and Howie and Nick hired wear it. The desperation move to go to Patricia, which is exactly what it was, and it's gotten worse. It stands out in a big way. I think the coaching has been awful this year for this team.
Wow. You kind of went off there, and I have no dispute with what you're saying. I've always looked at Nick Sirianni as a guy who, how can I say this? He just got it, right? He struck me as a guy that just kind of fit in. He tried to lean into the city, all that kind of stuff. He seemed like the kind of guy that you don't mind rolling with. But then he started to get really comfortable, and you started to see him at the games going rah-rah with fan bases. And my thing is, that's cute at first, but now, but when you're losing, you look stupid. So I think Nick Sirianni just doesn't really have the coaching gene, the head coaching gene, right? There's a certain archetype or a certain way that you probably should conduct yourself. There's probably some baseline things you should do as a head coach to conduct yourself. And he checks some boxes. He doesn't check the important ones, though.
Yeah.
And right now, you're seeing in how his team has been responding to him through these times. Some people say, wow, the first sign of adversity, all of a sudden people are jumping ship on Philadelphia Eagles. It's like, no, it's not that. It's more so the fact that it's so easy for the players to jump ship as well. Right. That's more so what we're noticing, and we're reacting to that because it's showing in the product.
Right.
It's showing in the effort, right? It's showing in the performance. It's showing in the win-loss column.
Right.
This team is no longer responding to him anymore. On top of that, you brought up the talent deficiencies on the defensive side. But overall, people are underperforming. Overall, I feel like there's more of a, if you had to ask me, is this a talent issue or underperforming issue? I'm going to choose underperforming. I think there are more people who are underperforming than who just aren't talented enough.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think I'm not arguing with any of that. I think that when you look at, again, it's simply put, look at the defensive line. Yeah, you got a lot of guys who aren't pulling their weight, who aren't doing what they should be doing across the board. And when I say that, when I lay out my case with the coaching, I'm not letting the players off the hook. Okay. So I just understand where I'm coming from here. Jalen, for all the turnovers, I can't say that's all the coach's fault at all. That's on Jalen Hurts, and he's got to be better at that. When you go to the defensive side, when guys miss tackles, that's not Sean Desai's fault. You're a professional linebacker, man. You can't bring a guy down in space. That's a player issue. So believe me, I'm not telling you this is all coaches and the players are. They're not to blame at all. No, they're to blame too, in a big way. I think, Tone, and I never thought that this would be the case. I think there's less fire in the belly, man. Like, I believe Brandon Graham and Kelsey and the older guys who we always point to as leaders are trying their damnedest in terms of getting these guys up, getting them to understand what's at stake and how they're playing with fire here. When they're about to go, bye-bye. If they keep playing around, it's going to be over Monday night. I think they're trying to get that message across. But sometimes, man, you know how it is. You either have with your kids or with your buddies or with certain people in your life, you're trying to tell them, you're trying to give them what's best for them, and they just aren't hearing you. And I get the sense that that's going on right now with this team.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. This team is going through a real metamorphosis, right? You mentioned the four big dogs, Kelsey, Lane, Fletcher, BG. There's going to be a time very soon, actually, when they're not here, and then we're going to start to ask ourselves, where are the leaders on this team?
Yeah,
where are your core guys, right? Dan Sileo from the National Football Show, he brought up a concept or an idea of who are your core guys going forward, right? Excluding, the big four, because they're going to retire within the next year or two, maybe 3 years. They're going to be gone, right? Who are your core players that you can say without a doubt will be here 5 years from now? Like, who are your core guys that you can you feel, right? So I ask you, right?
Okay.
Who are the core guys on this team that we can say they're lifers?
Okay.
Or not even lifers. We can envision the team investing in them the way they've invested in Kelsey, Lane, Fletch, BG.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Who are those guys?
I would just say this. First off, it's really hard. Like, it's miraculous that Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, and Jason Kelsey have all played their entire career in this long with this team. It really is. It's miraculous. It's hard to look 5 years forward in the NFL. Think about it. The Eagles won a Super Bowl 6 years ago. How many players are still left from that, right? Not many. All right, so here's what I would say. I'm a true believer in Jalen Carter. I know that his play has slowed down. I know. I'll be the first one to admit that, but I'm a big time believer in him. I'll go Jalen Carter. It's really tough on the defensive side. I'll be honest with you. I don't know that I believe in Jordan Davis. I'm trying to think of the younger guys. Boy, oh boy. All right, let me go to the other side. There's one guy on defense that I feel that way about.
Mm-hmm.
Offensive side of the ball. I'll go Landon Dickerson. I'm
willing to go there.
The only issue with Juergens is he's gonna take center over, and I just don't know exactly what that's gonna look like. But I'll go Juergens just for the sake of the discussion. Devontae Smith.
Okay.
I'll go Devontae. How many is that? At 4?
That's 4 total so far.
I'm not going to go Jake Elliott or somebody. I'm not doing that.
Right.
Jalen Hurts. I'll go Jalen Hurts. I'll go Devontae. I'll go Landon Dickerson. Cam Juergens, I guess, which is a little bit of a reach, and Jalen Carter. There's only one guy on the defensive side. That's not good.
Yeah, and I think that's why I really asked you, right? Because I would even add in Mailata. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Mailata's good. Good choice.
Yeah.
Good choice.
I would add in him, but the main reason I asked this is because I kind of wanted to slowly lead you to the defensive side. Their defense almost has no future.
Yeah.
Like what is the future of their defense really?
Mm-hmm.
I look at the Chiefs and I see a team that has a youth movement going and they're producing, right? The Buffalo Bills defense, when they're healthy, they've drafted a lot of those guys and they developed a lot of those guys like Matt Milano and Poyer and Micah Hyde. So they've developed guys.
Yeah.
When I look at this Eagles defense, I have a hard time seeing a long-term group of guys outside of Jalen Carter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what this team's going to look like within the next 3 years. The defense, more so in particular.
Yeah,
I think
it's a fair exercise, Tone, to do, because it does speak to some of the uncertainty. I also think it's a really hard exercise to do in that league.
Yeah,
there's just such turnover rate, man.
But I think the problem more so is the fact that the Eagles have struggled to draft guys on the defensive side of the ball. That defense is filled with more mercenaries than guys that they've actually, drafted and, did some real scouting on, right? Guys that typically the guys you draft are supposed to be the foundation of your roster, and you sprinkle it in with the free agents and so on and so forth for trades. You sprinkle it in, but you're supposed to be able to have a foundation of guys that you drafted because you have them on a rookie deal. If there's more flexibility, there's a higher likelihood of them returning because you drafted them, and there's a they grow roots there. You want to make sure you hit on your draft picks on the defensive side. This team has not hit on their draft picks. More times than not, they've not hit. Let's put it that way. Josh Sweat, yes, that was a hit ultimately, but Josh Sweat's contract is over at the end of next season, I think. Are they going to bring him back? What's their plan for him? Are they going to double down on Hassan Reddick? His contract is over at the exact same time. What's the overall bigger picture for this defense? Jordan Davis, you drafted him, but is he a long-term answer? Can he stay in shape? Will he remain motivated?
Right.
We have to ask ourselves those questions. Nolan Smith, we have no idea what he is. So you're right. I think Jalen Carter is the only person definitively that I can say I can see this team investing in for as long as he's productive.
I think you make a really good point. Here, the issue is if you exclude Carter, and I think we're both on the same page with Carter, like you just said. I don't know what Jordan Davis's future holds. Nolan Smith, I'm not writing him off, but I really am disappointed there wasn't a little bit more shown this year. Okay, the Kobe Dean,
they kind of screwed Nolan Smith. They should have played him earlier in the season where he can actually build up some equity, some confidence. Everyone's at that point everyone's 0-0, so the stakes aren't as high. They had an opportunity to really get him on the field early and often. Right. Same thing with Sidney Brown, and all those kind of guys. They had opportunities to get them on the field and for them to take their lumps early.
Yeah,
and they failed at that, and they wanted to. They all of a sudden decided to put them in. When things are kind of, you're entrenched in the season. Things are a little tighter. Now the stakes are higher. You're expecting them to make plays, and the thing is, they're rookies still. Yeah, let them get going early, go through the growing pains and the startup cost early, and then when it's now they're getting confident in the season. Now when you're 8-0, 9-1, 8-1, 9-1, whatever it is. Now they have about 10 games under their belt. They're more confident. They're no longer rookies anymore. They know the terminology. They know where they're supposed to be. They're playing instinctually and fast. You got these guys thinking out there now. So they're banking on Keely Ringo to hit. They're banking on Sidney Brown to get back healthy and hit. They're banking on so many guys that they really didn't do right by when everything really started. They're banking on the Kobe Dean to hit, Nolan Smith. They kind of I don't like how they handle young players, in my humble opinion. If you're not a first rounder, I don't like how they handle you in the long term. Yeah. They kind of shelve you.
Yeah, no. I understand what you're saying. I think it's certainly with the Nolan Smith thing there, that's fair. I think the other thing that's tough for me is I feel good, but I can't say I'm sold. Like, I feel good about Sidney Brown. It's unfortunate that he's done with the ACL. I feel good about Keely Ringo, but I can't say I'm positive on Keely Ringo. So there's some guys in the secondary who look like they could be pieces for the future here. Let's see what happens with Ricks and some of these guys when they get a little bit more experience under their belt. So there could be foundational pieces there. Right now, it's just hard to tell. A part of it is because you have the older veterans there. You have Slay there. You had Bradbury there. Maddox to a degree, and these guys can't really get the full opportunity. And I think they were thrown in there way before they were ready. They were half baked, and you're pulling them out of the oven already. You got to give them a little bit more time. So I think with those guys, it's a little bit tougher just to pronounce one way or the other. They're in like wait and see mode for me on that side of the ball. All right, let's get a timeout, Tone.
Yes.
Let's come back, and we're going to talk to the Hall of Famer himself, the one and only Ray Didinger. Tone DeShields, Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let me tell you about Bravo Pizza of Havertown. Been going there since I was a kid, family owned since 1985, 20 different styles of pizza, slices to go. They have the specialized pizza, however you want it. They will make it. They don't just do pizza. They have fresh pasta, sandwiches, wraps, wings, salads. Bravo Pizza of Havertown is also committed to the community. They have fundraisers for charity, schools, little leagues, where the proceeds go to those organizations. You can follow them on Instagram and Facebook for daily specials and promotions at the Bravo Pizza of. 1305 Westchester Pike Manoa Shopping Center in Havertown is the address. 1305 Westchester Pike Manoa Shopping Center, Havertown. 610-446-3810. 610-446-3810. Bravo Pizza of Havertown.
I remember getting my heart broken when they lost the Super Bowl in 2004. We're big Eagles fans. We moved to South Philly because of the Eagles. When they won, we went straight to Broad Street, and everybody was going nuts over there, and it was just a memory that you'll never forget.